Hello, hello! Welcome to another episode of History in the Dark. I am your host, Darkness the Curse. And before we begin, as always, thank you so much to my generous patrons, my British rail critics, and of course, my underwater train finders, who are about to become once again very relevant. You are the reason why this content remains submerged. And today, yes, we're back at it again. I know it's been so long since I've actively discussed a train, locomotive, whatever, that's underwater, or was underwater in this one's case. But one came across my desk, as it were. By that I mean someone mentioned it in the comments of one of my videos, and I thought, you know, I haven't talked about one of these in a while. Let's do it again, because it's a thing. It's a thing we do. It's fun. This is the story of the Luraville Locomotive. The Luraville Locomotive is a 440, an American locomotive that, is altogether a little bit more mysterious than I care to admit. Now, I've done some digging to try to get some details on this thing, but even the historical marker doesn't give all the available information on it. Yeah, because this locomotive is on display. Spoiler on that. It was underwater and is no longer. The historical marker gives a bit of information, but not enough that I would be comfortable with a video. Unfortunately, I did find additional info, but even the locomotive's number doesn't seem altogether clear, or whether it even had a number at all. In fact, one of the sources just lists this number as Rochester. That's not a number, that's a name. Perhaps it wasn't given a number, but given a name. According to the historical marker, it was probably built between 1850 and 1855, and it's one of the United States' oldest steam locomotives. And this one appeared to have been designed to burn wood, not coal, as a lot of early steam locomotives were. It's believed it once had a cowcatcher, though we aren't sure, and it may have been used to haul passenger coaches at some point, but when it sunk, it was owned by a logging company, specifically the Bach Brothers Lumber Company, who ran a sawmill near Luraville in Suwannee County, Florida. Now, the locomotive is believed to have operated comfortably in that role until around 1900, when an accident put it underwater. In this case, it was lost on a barge. It was being moved across the Suwannee River. Sources actually differ regarding exactly how it fell off the barge. The marker says it fell in while it was being loaded, but another source says the barge flipped over. But either way, the locomotive wound up plunging into the river, and they couldn't get it back out again. It was stuck. So they left it there, because as one does back in the day. I think I've made it abundantly clear while talking about underwater trains that a lot were just left. Locomotives are very heavy, and if you don't have the manpower or the equipment to pull one out, well, there's only so much you can do once it falls into water. In many cases, it winds up being an insurance claim, as it may have happened with this one. And it sat there for 79 years. Residents knew it was there, but nobody could really do much about it. It wasn't until 1979 that a Luraville resident named James Lancaster decided to take it upon himself to retrieve the locomotive from where she sat. He gathered a team, as well as the necessary equipment, to hoist the locomotive out of the river. He managed to get both it, as well as 2 sets of iron wheels. Sources again differ regarding exactly what happened to her after that. Some say she was donated to the state, but the marker, which I tend to go by, said she was purchased by a different source and then donated to the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services for preservation. They did wind up doing that. She was partially restored and put on static display in Tallahassee, Florida. Based on what I can tell, it seems like most of her is pretty much intact when it comes to the core engine components, though I don't believe the cab is original. It doesn't look original, for one thing, and second of all, this locomotive would have had a wooden cab, and that would have deteriorated well before Mr. Lancaster could have pulled her out. But still, it's nice to actually talk about a former underwater train for once. A locomotive that once was lost beneath the waves, actually retrieved and put on static display, as many of these historical artifacts, I believe, deserve to be. Again, I recognize, and pointed out myself, that retrieving these is not easy or cheap. The fact that it happened with this one is a rare occurrence, but it's a nice one. And now this old iron horse can be enjoyed by many for years to come. And with that, a special thank you to all my underwater train finders. Thomas Ward, Some Dude 267, Orange Glass, Royal Hudson 2860, Lord Hoth 444, Benjamin Owens, Panzer Kitsune 131-232, Mr. Black Rose, Master of None, Josh Johnson, Metal for Life Guy, Anzac A1, Arthur Roy, DM Tribal Typhoon, Tommy Rossini, Ohio Trucker 1, Lord Captain Von Thrust III, Joshua Long, Alaric Jaspers, Brian P., Jack Carson's Railroad Videos, Major Klutz, and Ty Hammonds Jr. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.